career, but like there were time periods where me and my buddies were having conversations and discussing whether Baron Davis was the best player in the league at the moment. Like he put together like a half of a season where he'd been super dominant, and then at some point, like he would get hurt or something. But I mean, he was so good and so much fun to watch. And it's gonna be, it's like I said, like T-Mac, it's gonna be hard to tell my kids like, there was a point where we were wondering if it's gonna be T-Mac or Kobe's league. And there was a point where BD was like,
totally forget that.
Right. And then we're talking about like there's a point where like BD was one of the best players. You heard of Baron Davis, one of the best players in the league. You know what I'm saying, or was discussed as one of the best players in the league. And I'm like, that's so unfortunate about injuries where these guys can't really, who are so talented. And I think like Baron Davis was a point guard that could drop step and punch on somebody. You know what I mean? And he could also handle the ball. He could shoot. He could pass. He had it all. But it just didn't quite pan out like everybody knew it could if he was healthy.
You know what it was?
Well, also too, like there's
he was one of those guys, and I love BD, who was just one step short of doing all the things that you needed to do to completely maximize your talent. Take care of your body, watch your diet, all that kind of stuff that contributed to it. Because he was that good without doing some of that stuff. Imagine if he had. Like he's one of the great what ifs.
And there were points when he would, like I remember, like I think it was preseason where like he'd be on the bike when he wasn't playing, or he'd be jump roping on the side. You know what I'm saying, when he wasn't playing and stuff. Trying to he'd come in to like seasons at peak shape. When some season when I think it was with Charlotte at the time, and it just like knees and stuff or whatever issues would come up, and he just it would like in an incredible season. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, look, man, it's hard to do, to really undergo the discipline that like the great ones need to really stay that great, even with all that natural talent. Like, I think it can be easy for a lot of people, like all of us, like people who follow the game, cover the game, respect it, to really remember like this is hard. Like the type of discipline that you need as an athlete, and like everything that encompasses, it's not for everyone. Like it's really damn hard to do.
I mean, LeBron puts $1 million in his body a year. $1 million.
Yeah.
With the M. You know what I'm saying? Like to stay healthy.
Fairness, that is about the equivalent of like the $10 a month I spend at Planet Fitness.
But he actually uses.
LeBron, right.
Right.
It's not that much money when you're LeBron.
But I mean, to me, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of money, to invest in the body. But I mean, think about this. Michael Jordan didn't start lifting until he was 30, I think they said.
Something like that, yeah.
Like late 20s. I mean, I think to get past the Pistons, they were like beating them up in the early 90s, late 80s. And I mean, like, you can't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, there's a lot of luck that comes in it too. And people like BD who are just, extremely athletic, and he was athletic in a way that not many people were that athletic at his size. The things you'd have to do to stay healthy. I don't think we were as prepared, or understood as much. You know what I mean?
It was funny. We were joking. Andy, which show was it? We were doing the thing with the biceps. Who was on? Was that with Oliver last week?
Yeah, that was with Oliver Maroney.
Okay, so we're talking with Oliver Maroney about that, and Michael Thompson, who we work with at the station, is absolutely obsessed with the human form and biceps and arms and all that. And he's got this picture that he carries around of him when he was fishing. And in fairness to the guy, just yoked. Andy, you would agree. It's like, it's not.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He looks amazing. I mean,
yeah.
If I were him, I'd show everyone that picture. I'd show strangers.
Michael does, I think. And so we put up a poll, like who has the best arms, and we threw Michael in there, like the best arms in basketball history. And there's like Corey Maggette and who else is in there? David Robinson.
We had Maggette, we had Andre Iguodala. Ben Wallace's name came up a lot. David Robinson's name came up a lot.
But like the converse, like you talk about guys like didn't even start working out or weight training until like 98 or 2003. Like more than like who are the best arms, like, all the worst arms in NBA history are from the mid 80s.
Right. Celtics, exactly. Yes, yes. But I mean, like, what's interesting? Like, do you think Iggy? I mean, Iggy. People like Iggy and Maggette. They looked like that in college when they were going. You know what I'm saying? Like, they probably looked like that in high school before they even really lifted weights.
Like in elementary school.
Maggette probably looked like that when he was like 9.
Right. I mean, do you remember how incredibly athletic Iggy was in Arizona?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
he was insanely athletic. And when he was playing with the Pistons, he was incredible. I think it was the Pistons that he was playing with when he first came into the league. The Sixers, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When he was, I mean, incredibly athletic. And we look at and we look at him now, and I guess Iggy's probably run of the mill athletic because the freaks of nature we have in the league now. But it's and that's what trips me out about people saying basketball isn't as good as it used to be. That's crazy to me.
No, it's not. It's much better.
we have like. Do you realize how incredibly? I'm not going to say who, but people I respect greatly are talking about how KD and LeBron wouldn't have dominated in the '80s. And
shut up.
KD is a 7-foot shooter that has guard handle. I mean, and hopefully he comes back healthy, but like. There is never a time that the planet has existed and basketball has been on it where K wouldn't be the best scorer, you know what I'm saying, at any point in the league. He is a absolute freak of nature, you know what I'm saying? Like LeBron, I mean, are we really acting like in year 17, he didn't switch from like a point forward to actually point guard, leading the league in assists. Like, the dude can play every position. I saw Bron. I saw Bron in Atlanta. And this is when I realized Bron was on a different level. I saw him playing with the Hawks. First off, he was like playing half speed for like 3/4. You could tell he was kind of biding his time. And then when it was time to turn it on, he turned it on. You know what I'm saying? But like there was a point when he passes the ball and the defense was shifting. He passed the ball and it's like do you hear that echo? Is that me?
I'm not sure. It's the fax machine in Brian's business room.
Okay.
My headphones were like really low, so I took them out. But now is everybody hearing too much stuff? Or is that?
I think there's
Yeah.
Is it worse?
There's reverb. Yeah,
there's reverb.
Okay.
It sounds like we brought in a fourth guest who's using a CD.
Right. It's like somebody's talking to us from the past.
What's going on?
But yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But I was at a Hawks game. Yeah, you're good. No reverb. Okay. So I was watching the game, and Bron throws a pass to Love in the corner. He threw it, and the ball, the defense shifted right as the ball was passing him. It was like he knew what the defender was going. The way the guy approached the game is just crazy. And it was like, you'd think this guy who's physically, I mean, when he came into the league, we'd never seen anything like him. And also maybe the best basketball IQ or one of the top 5 basketball IQs we've ever seen would not dominate. That's crazy to me. But basketball is much better now.
Well, I mean, look, if you wanted to make LeBron, you can't make this argument. It's just silly. Like, it's stupid.
People try
If you wanted to try to make the argument against Durant, and I want to make this clear, like prefaces, this is not what I subscribe to. I'm not even buying my own argument. I'm just presenting the counterfactual that, spoiler alert, I think is BS, but whatever. We'll move it forward.
Okay.
If you wanted to say that Durant in the 80s would have been in a league where there wasn't this type of premium on outside shooting, and he wouldn't have been developed the way that he was, and therefore would have been asked to exist more in the post, and because of that, he wouldn't have thrived the same way. I'll hear this argument. I think it's kind of stupid. I mean, I think when you're that skilled, you figure something out. But if you're going to present this argument, at least give the reason why. Like, if your reason is they're soft, stop. Like, just stop this.
I'd like to say that I don't think any NBA player is soft. You're playing
No.
82 games, and especially somebody like me that sits on my couch or sits on a desk for most of the day. I'm not going to call anybody soft. You know, I work out probably an hour and a half out of the day, and I can't wait saying for my workout to end. And for these people to dedicate their lives to that,
No.
you know what I'm saying? I can't call them soft. But
Let me tell you, soft.
The
three of us on this show, like,
right?
I am
like
extremely
we're
soft.
Yeah.
Like really soft.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's why I'm not playing sports. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, the toughness it takes in order to dedicate yourself to a sport is ridiculous. I mean, that's fandom. You know, that's part of it, and I think they know it too. But I just think that's such a ridiculous excuse
But like, you know, too, and
for players not being, you know.
I'm just going to chew on my microphone here. Hopefully, it's loud enough. But like, one of the things
Yeah,
that
we can hear you.
always drives me insane is like people. The game, like you said, LaJethro, the game is so much better. But go back and look at some of those great moments from The Last Dance. And there's Jordan with the dagger, and this and that, and whatever. And like, but in the bottom right-hand corner, you see the score of the game, and it's like 78-72 with like 2 minutes left. In the game.
Final,
Right.
the final, and Jordan had 36.
Right.
You know what I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, like this is not great basketball. And I mean, and watching it. Like, you know, I'm a Bron guy, but if people say Jordan, like, I'm not going to argue over the GOAT. I call Jordan a GOAT. I call Bron a GOAT. I'll call Kobe a GOAT. They're all GOATs. When watching it, I felt a sense of nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? I loved MJ. But, you know, I'm not – let's be real, man. You know, like that wasn't – when watching the games, like, on the throwback, you know, ESPN games, you know what I mean? How long before you turn into Seinfeld reruns? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I actually checked out like some repeat Lakers on Spectrum. You know, some stuff they were putting on ESPN, like you were saying, LaJethro, and it's like, is this really that entertaining?
It's not. It's not. There goes
I mean, like, you know, Magic. Like, you know, if you could isolate Magic for a whole game, like that's entertaining as hell. Or like if you isolate Kareem for a whole game. That's super entertaining, but like that's sort of the game within the game. The actual game, it's like,
yo, you can take it or leave it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sold.
Well, I mean, the other thing though that I think, you know, you look at like the Jordan generation and like the guys Barkley who seem really protective of their own generation of players, and I've always. My theory on that has always been that all of those guys need to present as the best ever, which obviously you can make that argument. It doesn't require that much work.
Not at all.
But it's important to them that Jordan remain the best ever because then they have the reason why they could never beat him. Like the minute somebody passes Jordan, then all of a sudden they've got slightly less of an excuse. But the notion of today's players being softer, even if they are – all of those players from the 80s and 90s who say today's players are softer, you know who used to say they were soft? All the players from like the 70s and 60s. They used to say all those guys were soft.
And the thing is, I'm not signing up to watch a basketball wrestle. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to watch wrestling. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching basketball, and I want to see the best basketball players play basketball. You know what I mean? So the fact that they aren't tussling in the paint and beating each other up, there's boxing for that. There's MMA for that. I don't need that.
But that's the thing. It's like when you have this, it's important to define your terms. Like the 80s, that actually was kind of fun. Like, you know, it's the Lakers versus the Nuggets, and you know all it's 142 to 138. Like, and you know today's basketball, too many threes. Like all it is just skill. It's up and down, skill everywhere. Like the worst players, the guys who used to be 7-foot plotters, they all have great skill. It's the 90s and the early 2000s that sucks. Like
early 2000s was brutal.
It was brutal to watch. I'm
brutal
not saying that they weren't
basketball.
good players, but it was brutal to watch. All in the name of, like you say, LaJethro. It's like, let's make this wrestling. Let's show how tough we are, and like how many gouges we can have on our skin before the end of the game. I don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, Lambeer was a great basketball player. I'm not going to turn on the television to watch Bill Laimbeer play basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need that style of basketball. You know, when I'm seeing 7-footers, we're seeing aliens play it right now. Like we're seeing like, like Giannis. What is a Giannis like? You know what I'm saying? I don't. I mean, like, dude, how does he? The way he moves, as strong as he is, like it's like what I'm. I mean, like KD, Bryce, I'm good on the 90s basketball. I mean, like I said, Jordan was great. If you to go, I'm not going to argue with you. You know what I mean? I understand why you think that and why you believe that. I mean, but when you have to, you're getting to the point where like you're diminishing basketball to uplift it, like you said, Andy. Like it's just unnecessary.
Yeah,
Jordan's good enough. He doesn't need you to do that to what I'm saying, to defend him. He's good enough without that. Say go to the.
Okay, the part that you mentioned about it being unnecessary, that's really what it is. It's not needed. Like, he doesn't need your help. Jordan was pretty damn good.
Right. I mean, he had a season when he was the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and he had the scoring title. What was that, 87 or something?
Yeah, some point then.
I mean, like, that was his 4th year in the league, something like that. Year in the league, like, and he was, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need the people. He was so stingy when he was playing. Like, nobody won a thing when Jordan reached his prime. You know what I mean? He'd even take the All-Star MVPs. You know what I mean? He wouldn't even let you have that. We don't need to defend Jordan with this trash. You know what I mean?
Okay, this was
That was not the word you were coming.
Something though that Brian and I noticed. It blew my mind watching The Last Dance that I really didn't know about. The things that I truly learned about him in that thing, I did not realize how many cigars he smoked on a daily basis, like during a season. Like I knew that he would occasionally smoke a cigar, but like I didn't realize like he'd have a cigar on the way to a game. Like he would have a cigar like immediately afterwards, which that's not good for a Is there a version of Jordan that could have been better? Like if he actually had subscribed to a different lifestyle? Like did we actually miss like on a 10%, 50% and the booze?
Jordan is drinking beers. We saw him drinking a beer post-game. You know what I'm saying? He hadn't even left the locker room yet. He hasn't made it to the comforts of his own home. You know what I mean? Like, he's still sweating from the game, drinking a beer. Like if he was challenged, we would, but I think he was just that good.
It's one of those,
yes.
But he's right on that cusp. Brings it back to what we were talking about before with BD. Like Jordan is right in that cusp of like he's pre-modern in some ways, but like you go back and you watch, he played at North Carolina with no 3-point line. That's how old Michael Jordan is. There was no 3-point line when he played in college. I saw that. I was like, you have got to be bleeping kidding me. Because I don't think of him as that old. Right. I think of like, Jerry West playing at West Virginia with no 3-point line. But that's what that era was. He was on the same team as James Worthy. Again, I don't think of Michael Jordan and James Worthy as from the same era. They were like teammates at North Carolina. So he straddled that line.
James Worthy was 2 years older than him or something?
2 years older, I think. 2 or 3?
He was
2 years older. 2 years older? Yeah,
yep.
I think so.
But it's like they're like contemporaries. I don't think of it that way. So like, Jordan crosses that era where he wasn't taking. Imagine if Jordan did with his body and his diet and his lifestyle what like LeBron does, what Kobe eventually started to do.
Mm-hmm.
What these guys? What if MJ went vegan? It's like it never occurred to
MJ. You know what I mean? I think if he played in this era, he would have.
Yeah, I'm sure because it was worth too much money.
I think he would have been beat. Right. I think he'd been challenged to the point where he'd have to as well.
But it's just one of those things.
Saying when you're having like Leonard's.
Yeah, completely. But it's like you just wonder, why did it never occur to anybody? Like, maybe we should take better care of ourselves. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Like, it's one of those things that's amazing.
You know what?
Go ahead, Andy.
You know what some of it may have just been is the money wasn't the same. I mean, like the money will motivate you in ways to take care of yourselves. Like, not that those guys didn't make a good living, but remember like how long it took for Michael Jordan to start getting really big contracts? Like, it took a while into his career. And, when you're in a place in the NBA where you recognize, like, okay, I can be a solid player and make $13 million a year for being considered like solid guy. I'm like the fifth, sixth guy in the rotation. I can make 8 figures a year. You start thinking about, should I go plant-based? Like, I'm serious. Like, that will motivate you. Like, you know what? I actually, really quick, on a separate tangent, but I saw this yesterday, and I think this is the greatest challenge I've ever seen in terms of plant-based ambition. Mm-hmm. I just read that KFC is looking to do a plant-based version of fried chicken, which to me, like, that's next level, like, ambitious. Because between the taste you're trying to replicate and the decadence, because, like, fried chicken is awesome, but it's also terrible for you. So it's like, when you eat it in part because you're breaking all the rules, and, like, okay, this might be taking 7 days off my life, but screw it, this chicken's awesome.
It's worth it. It's that
right.
Good. Right.
Kate, both the taste and the decadence, like the guilty pleasure, the thrill, plant-based fried chicken. That sounds tough to me.
I mean, it's part, like you said, part of it eating, KFC is that it's bad for you. Doing bad things is fun sometimes. Just one of those bad things that isn't bad enough where you can still enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so, like, and also it's just disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like, it's like barbecue. Like, I don't even.
Is it disrespectful to fried chicken or to the plant that you're trying to turn into fried?
Both. I would say both. You know what I mean? But I mean, like, it's like you know how they have, like, they'll have like the barbecue, the vegan barbecues where they're making like vegan ribs and stuff. I think Taylor Swift posted a pic and people were like just enraged online, and it made sense. You like barbecue fried. It's not part of. It's not made to be healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not made for that. It's like when I eat a barbecue sandwich, I want the bread to be just sitting on the bottom and soaked in juices and meat. You know what I mean? Like, the unhealthiness.
Yeah,
this is part of the joy. I'll eat fish. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll eat a salad.
The difference there.
I eat a salad, even if I want that health, that healthy stuff. That's crazy. When I eat fried chicken, I want fried chicken. When I want barbecue, I'll eat barbecue. If I want something healthy, I'll eat something healthy. It's crazy. Don't tell me this is fried chicken, and it's not even chicken. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good on that.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh my God, like that's pretty damn gutsy. Like I kind of give them credit for even being willing to say, we'll try this. Like,
my bigger question though, Andy, is who's it for? Because, like, for example, like Taco Bell just freaked the bleep out of everyone because they took potatoes off their menu. And that was one of the good ways for vegetarians. I don't think vegans. It's still not vegan. But vegetarians to go eat.
No, I think that's vegan. Potatoes are vegan.
No, but I'm saying I think the rest of everything else. I don't think the rest of it. But, like, you could be vegetarian and go to Taco Bell and eat all the potato stuff, and they had like 9 potato items. They took them all away. Who is going to KFC? And it's like, the only thing that's holding me back from being able to go to the KFC drive-thru is they don't have enough vegan options for me.
Oh, right.
Said no one ever.
So right.
That's the part that confuses me. Is like, they say, wait, so ordering one like, what? Who are you bringing in? Because it's not healthier necessarily. Like the Impossible Burger is better for the environment, I suppose, because it's not
Mm-hmm.
it's plant based that way, and you're not beef and whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of healthiness, it's not
No,
necessarily
dirty little secret. Not that healthy.
No,
a
nope,
lot of
nope,
them,
nope.
they're not. But again, it's who's the audience? That's the part. Like I know, LaJethro, who the audience is for at-home liquor delivery, and it's people who want that because there's a pandemic going on.
Right,
And
right,
You
right.
don't want to be going out just because you need a bottle of vodka or
Yeah,
tequila or
yeah.
something like that. So what you do is you order vsliquor.com and you have it delivered right to your door. And if it's your first, have you ever ordered from vsliquor.com?
No, I need to though. I'm a whiskey man, and I
50% off your first order when you put sports into checkout. Like that's something that everybody understands and can use. Vegan fried chicken, I'm not so sure. I mean, Godspeed.
Yeah.
I wish them luck, but I just don't
It-
know.
it speaks to more than anything, probably. KFC isn't a place where they need to create vegan fried chicken. Yeah, they're at, it's like the last ditch effort, I think.
Did the Popeyes chicken sandwich kick their
It might have.
ass that badly?
Oh,
It's really
It's really
good.
yeah,
But like, did that just put them on tilt? Like the success of that sandwich, like they're almost thinking they got to get out.
to be honest, I haven't had a bucket of KFC in a long time on that tail for a minute. You know what I mean? I think the fried chicken sandwich just put it over the edge. You know what
It's
I mean?
a
Like that was a
really good sandwich.
right. I mean, I think it's better than Chick-fil-A. I mean, Chick-fil-A doesn't.
No,
The thing about Popeye sandwiches, it made me. It's better, but it made like. If I eat a Popeye chicken sandwich, I gotta like carve out a good 2 hours of my day to kind of like nap, and that's the wear. Its effects have to wear off. You know what I mean? But when it came to like with Chick-fil-A, I can eat it. I'm fine. So that's the difference. It's just it's heavier, but it's much better. The Popeye chicken sandwich is much better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't picture Popeyes ever deciding to roll out their vegan line of sandwiches or chicken. I think Popeyes has decided we are who we are, and if eventually the plant-based revolution passes us by, then you know what? We'll say we had a good run. We'll remember ourselves fondly.
Take
but we're
their
not
chips
going
and cash out. Take their chips and cash out.
Exactly. Like I don't picture them ever deciding, you know what? Let's dabble in that. Like, because again, like when the staple of your diet or the staple of your menu, I should say, is both meat based and also something that is inherently unhealthy, there's just only so much you can dress up about that. Or there's only so many people you can bring in. Like the vegans, they're not coming to you. Like it just they're not looking in your direction. I feel like you have to accept that.
Completely agree.
Well, it's also you're just
So
you're
go ahead,
basically
Brian.
the single wing at that point. You're the last college in the country running the triple option. You're just like, we're going down with our sandwich. That's it. Where do you want to go next, Andy? You want to do a little LeBron?
Well, I was going to say when we were DMing, we'll save some Dwight, but I did want to because when we were DMing about what we wanted to get into tonight, one of your lines was Braun. So figure we got to get into a little bit of LeBron, and I guess one place to start would be the NBA announced 8 games that they're playing in Orlando won't count towards MVP voting or awards voting in general, which for a lot of people could be the final of LeBron's MVP candidacy because he had been behind to catch Giannis.
He was going to win anyway, but now it's pretty much guaranteed.
I feel like okay. All things considered, and I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it's not in year 17, but year 17, Lakers go from a team that's not to leading the West. Okay, Bron is to play a position that he's never played in his entire career, leading in assists, you can see the difference on that team when Bron is not on court. When he's not on the court, that team is a totally different team. And I just think, like, for me, there's no team player more important to their team than Bron. And I think there's no player that's played better this year, considering taking everything into consideration. He's 27, 7, 7. He's around there. But I mean, other than the assists, he's up in assists a whole lot.
Yeah.
For me, I just don't see. For me, he's the most valuable player in the league. That's what I think. You know what I mean? Especially for his team. So. And what they've done this year, it's incredible.
Like, see, Andy and I, neither one of us are awards guys. Like, I don't. As long as if you don't give it to, if you gave it to JaVale McGee, who's had an excellent season. But, JaVale McGee is not the MVP of the NBA. So if you gave it to JaVale, then that's bad. I'm going to have an argument with you. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Giannis is somehow less valuable or whatever than LeBron and have this argument. Both of those guys have been absolutely dominant. They've both been amazing. And I think, context starts to do it for LeBron. And, he talked about it today, media availability, where he was saying, everybody said I couldn't do it in the Western Conference. Well, now I'm in the Western Conference and I'm doing it. But that doesn't mean he's been better than Giannis. Giannis, like you said before, is like an alien from another planet. So the part that I hate about these arguments is it tends to start devolving.
I got a question.
This guy sucks. I got to start.
Oh
no,
never.
But that's
never,
what it becomes,
yeah.
and it drives me insane.
Yeah. I got a question. Is the best player in the league always the most valuable?
Oh yeah,
player in the league. I think both his MVPs. He wasn't the best player in the league, but I agree. At least with one of them, he was the most valuable.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things where we've never really decided what it means and how we're defined. Also, to some degree, it's like okay. Years ago, there was a season. I remember I brought this up in a piece that I was writing about MVP voting, but I was like, look, if you're really starting to get into who's the most valuable player for their team, the answer that year was Chris Paul with the Hornets. And that was like a 17-win Hornet team. But I'm like, they literally would have been 0-82. They were literally unable to function on a court whenever Chris Paul didn't play. I'm sure his plus minus was probably something like $1 billion that season. It was insane. So it's like I'm not making the case that year that Chris Paul should have won MVP. You can't win that on a team with a 25% winning percentage. But that year, I really don't think there was anybody more valuable to their team than Chris Paul. Or the idea of, if you switch these guys to different teams, what would happen? I don't know, and I don't care. It's not going to happen. I mean, I don't know. In this fantasy season that we're creating, one guy's team revolts against him. He shows up on the new team like him, and it ends up dysfunctional. And then he demands a trade to another team. I don't know. None of this is real. I don't care.
Hey, stop for a second.
I have a question. So, another question. Here. You said what?
I was going to say, stop for a second and then tell me. I pressed some buttons. Is this any louder? A little bit?
Yeah,
yes.
I hear you. Yeah.
All right.
Yes,
see, I was pressing buttons there.
Excellent.
It made a difference.
Yes,
All
much.
Right,
much.
All right, good. Okay,
there you go.
Okay.
Did you press the volume button?
No. I went deep into the heart of this thing, and I found, settings where you have to, increase your decibel levels. I mean, I was investigating. I was doing some work over here. I am
what was the question,
proud of myself.
Okay,
so carry on.
Okay, that's all good. So last year, Giannis won the MVP, and to me, Harden had a better season. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think they got it wrong, but how do you decide with that as well? You know what I'm saying? Where the things that Harden did were incredible. There were time periods where they were top 4 in the West, and everybody was hurt. And the only, and it hard. I mean, he was it was Harden and PJ Tucker. And PJ Tucker's what he's going to give you offensively, you know what I'm saying, against the best in the West. And he's winning big games against the Warriors and stuff by himself or whatever. And, you know, they still give it to Giannis. And it's like, you know, it doesn't – Giannis had a great season. He's incredible. I think Giannis is the best player in the league. But did he have the best season? You know, he's the most valuable? I don't know. And I don't think so. But if you give it to Giannis, I mean, you can't get that wrong by giving it to Giannis. He's Giannis, you know.
You know, I think a lot of these,
I think ultimately,
don't you agree? Like, they do it so that nobody ever defines the value versus best thing, so that you can use either one depending on which one you need in any given year. Like, you want to give it to the person you want to give it to, and so you want to have the ability to have either avenue available. And I say this as somebody who's never going to be allowed to vote on one of these things. So,
me too.
I think it's really interesting though with LeBron. I mean, like if you really break down the stats, I think overall Giannis are more impressive. But if you're looking to make the purely statistical, I think closer to pure basketball argument, it's probably going to come out in favor of Giannis. It's about he's got no as Anthony Davis. He's got a deeper team.
Yeah,
I think he actually has more talent on his team.
No question.
No question.
You know, really drives a lot of success.
Oh no, where'd everybody go?
When you start getting into something that tells the story of LeBron this year, like, you know, the stuff that the Lakers went through, or having to deal with leadership that LeBron showed this year, and really getting everybody on the same page, and like that immediate buy-in that he gave to Frank undercut a lot of the noise and, you know, a lot of the issues, you know, with Frank Vogel. Transparent sixth. Vogel's been terrific.
And then they have Kid as you know, assistant, and there's supposed to be something there going on. All that up.
Right, and like those type of things with LeBron, and in a lot of ways, this comes down to those sort of ancillary exterior elements matter to you. You know, as a voter, as somebody who watches the game closely, hard to quantify, and you don't want to feel like you're penalizing Giannis for his team, you know, having fewer issues to overcome. But that's really impressive stuff by LeBron.
I agree, but like going back to Steve Nash, I'm not, you know, I love Steve Nash. He's one of my favorite players to actually watch. But I think the years that he won, like 14 points a game or 16 during the regular season, can't just go off of stats. I mean, he was a 50-40-90 guy. So, I mean, incredible, you know, like as far as pure basketball, he's great. But I think Kobe averaged like 29 one of those seasons. Like, you know, and it was, you know, like it's so off of pure. I mean, I would agree.
We got it wrong.
I think when you add that,
we got it wrong in 2006 with Kobe.
Okay.
Like, honestly, I think in retrospect, like the stuff Kobe was doing was and I'll admit, I'm somebody who missed, I think, really. I knew how great Kobe was. Brian and I covered that season. And, you know, I remember writing at the time that Kobe, you know, if you voted for him, it's obviously nothing wrong with that. He's clearly deserving. But I think I really missed in the moment just how deserving he was. Like what he's doing is insane.
Things that were freakish. Like, you know, and it wasn't until like Harden started. Like Harden did it this year. It was like James Harden with his 11th 50-point game. Like, how you get to the point where Kobe had like, what'd Kobe have? Oh, he only had 36 the other night. Taking the night off, was he? I think, you know.
Right. I think I think Harden had last year. Harden had, I think, was it 11 50-point or plus games? 11. I think he had 60 close to 60 twice. I mean, and he's not didn't have the best season that year. There's nothing but MVP. I don't get that. But yeah, in that 2006 season, Kobe was absolutely insane. There were periods like like, if Kobe didn't get 30, and that's the same way we thought of Jordan. I remember as a kid when Jordan didn't get 30, if Jordan got 28, that was a bad game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, it was 26 for Jordan was like, ugh. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he's probably, when you average like 28 a game, like 28 points becomes average.
Yeah,
like
that's
literally. Literally by definition. That's like
right.
Oh, well, like Brian and I, we were at 81 because we cover the team. We were there, and
nobody saw that but people that were local.
Well, no, I know,
and you're so lucky to have seen that, man.
But like, what was crazy about it is at the game, going into time happened. Kobe had 20. I think it was 26, and in the moment, it just felt like Kobe was headed towards maybe like a 45, maybe even 50. But that season, Kobe getting 50 was so not out of the ordinary story. What felt like the story in halftime was the Lakers are trying to make the playoffs, and they're happy Raptors team at home. The third, wait, is it me or is Kobe? Yeah, like you're like, oh my god, he's and there's 3 or 4 minutes left in the third. Like, my lord!
And wasn't that game close? He needed all 81. You know what I mean?
They pulled away at the end, but up until that
point,
it was close.
Yeah.
They were losing.
Yeah, and he was fighting that game. You know what I mean? But
well,
did you just end 81?
What was awesome was Smush's saltiness that not enough people paid attention to his contribution. I'm not even kidding.
Wait, what? Can you explain this to me? This is what?
The game felt like there were other guys who chipped in, and maybe we got them as well.
Like a man didn't score 81 points in a game. He like that wasn't the story to him.
Well, but you got to remember, LaJethro, Smush was also a guard, and he had 13 in that game.
He and Kobe combined.
Kobe didn't do this himself.
To his credit, I couldn't score 13 in a season in the NBA. So good for Smush, but. That's not the story of the night, obviously.
I'm looking at the box score right now. Smush was a plus 11 in this game. So
that's worthy of a high five.
Let's completely overlook what the man brought to.
I mean, granted, it's pre-analytics, so nobody was really paying attention to that at the time.
Yeah, right.
What was Smush's VORP in that game? what was his net rating?
Okay, I'm looking right now. Smush in that game. Wow. Kobe, I'm looking at the basketball reference box score.
Yeah.
Kobe scored plus minus 33.6. The next closest to him was Chris Mim at 1.9.
And what's crazy, I forgot Chris Mim existed.
Kobe's offensive rating in this game, 150. That's ridiculous. His usage rating, 56.8. The next
ball
closest
hog.
was, of course, it was.
Why don't you pass the ball,
the
Brian?
Mush was in explosives. 17.7. Again, doing some heavy lifting. And feels like he got over.
Right.
I like how you put that, LaJethro. I like how you put that. You didn't forget that Chris Mim was on that team. You literally forgot Chris Mim was a human being who has walked the earth. Presumably, still does.
Right.
How much money do you think? How much money do you think this person that you literally forgot about made over the course of his career?
Millions. I would say.
Specifically,
this is a guesstimate, right? 20 to 30 million?
$25.3 million. That's pretty good.
Not bad, but that I would love to make 25 for a man to forget that I existed. Please. I'd actually prefer the 25 mil than you forget I existed.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, I could be vanished from all memories of this earth for half of that.
Right? Easily.
Oh my.
Easily. You know what I mean?
I mean, seriously, you all could totally forget about me for 12.5. Like no memories of me ever.
How old are you? Because I think this is semi-age.
I'm 37.
Okay. Close
I'm
enough.
37.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm 44.
Yeah.
Andy's, I don't know, like 70. I'm not sure. Andy's very old. Very, very old person. So like there is a section, or at least a part of a generation of people that if you ask them, would you rather be rich or famous, would take famous over rich.
When was this?
I think sort of like the internet generation, like the share it or it didn't happen generation. I'm not saying everybody. There are still some smart people in this group. But like I as you get older, I think, everybody would be like, of course rich. Like famous isn't that cool. Rich is great. Like that's fine. But I mean fame is not necessarily all that it's
I'll be honest with you. Fame scares the hell out of me. The fact that you can't go to Trader Joe's and grab, like your mangoes and your, butter, without somebody stopping you in the dairy section, that scares me to death.
Should have thought of that before we launched the late night happy hour.
I'm good on that. I'm like my buddy Tyler, Dragonfly Jones. He's for the most part he's a bottle of is his avatar.
Follow him. He's a great follow. I didn't know that was his name until you just said it.
I looked it up.
I had no idea.
I actually looked it up the other day.
and that's and he preferred that and I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes like fame to me is a scary thought. Just give me the money.
I was a little disappointed because I hoped his parents named him Dragonfly. I was like that would have been cool. I would have liked that.
Yeah, I mean, me. My name is John. Like when I tell people my name is John, they're like I have homegirls names LaJethro. I can't believe your name is John. No, it's John. It's the most common name on the planet. On the planet, at least the American name. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, that's what. I mean, that was fun.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not.
Andy and I had a long conversation. It's like, we've had Josiah on, and we watched Dunkbait and all this other stuff, and like, it's really great stuff. You're a great follower on Twitter, all this other stuff, and I was like, I know that's not his actual name. So when part of the reason it took
no, not at all. My mom loves me way more than that.
Right. Part of the reason it took a few extra weeks to reach out is like, I don't know what to call him when we DM. Like, I need to find out his real name first because I'm not just going to DM without like doing the basic research and the showing the respect of at least finding out what your actual name is first. And I just didn't get to it. I was busy.
Unless it's one of those things where you know that literally everybody calls you by the equivalent of the same name. We've had Flea on our show a few times. We call him Flea because everybody calls him Flea.
It's wife.
Like I don't know if anybody.
You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know if anybody outside of like immediate longtime family calls him Michael. Like maybe they do. I have no idea. I just know I've never heard anybody refer to him that way at all. Like it's all Flea. Yeah. So like in that sense, like okay, like I feel comfortable referring to him as Flea. Like if I text him, but in your particular case, I was like, okay, we have to at least show you that we've done enough research to at least we know that's not your actual name.
Yeah. Part of it, I admit, like there are moments where this can be hard to be like, I don't necessarily have super high street cred, and there are moments where this comes through, like because it was about a year ago where I learned The Weeknd was not a band, it's a person. But part of the reason I wouldn't want to necessarily have a conversation with him is because I don't know what to call him.
Yeah.
Hey, the weekend. Like, if you call him, do you call him just regular weekend? Are you supposed to still use the in front of it? Like, do you call him like what do you want? Do you want a soda? I'm heading over to the thing the weekend. Do you want a Coke? Like, I don't know how to talk to people whose names are an article and then something that isn't their name. I don't know how to do that.
I have friends that are rappers, and I refuse to call them by their rapper name. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just, you know what I'm saying? It's just no way. You know what I mean? I guess, you know, but I understand as if I'm not, you know, don't know you personally, I'll use that. But I mean, y'all can call me John. It's all good.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Can you tell the Florida story, Brian?
Andy loves the Florida
Please,
story.
I love this.
All right, so in fairness, and I will defend myself here.
You call it Flow Rider, Florida?
Yes! Yes!
We're driving because the hyphen was very, very small. It was a very small hyphen. I didn't see it. And so we're driving along with my wife, and I just look at the billboard, and I'm looking up, and I said, "Who's Florida?" And she was just like, "You have got to be bleeping kidding."
So your wife was even like, so she...
I mean, she is frequently appalled. It's like, it's normal. But
Right.
yeah, no, I mean,
That is great.
Again, but I knew who Flo Rida was. It's not like the weekend where I didn't think.
Yeah.
I thought like I didn't think Flo Rida was like a bunch of like 12 guys.
Yeah.
I thought the weekend. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I thought the weekend initially was like a bunch of like really popular with suburban college white kids white band. Like
I thought they were like Alien Ant Farm or something like that.
kind of. It's
But
like
I
Weeknd,
do
you know?
think that is the demo. I don't really know a lot of people that listen to The Weeknd outside of that demo. But they're
Doesn't
like
it
people
sound like a poppy white band?
right? People compare him to Prince. Let's say he's this generation's Prince. I'm like,
No, he's not.
nobody's any generation's Prince.
No.
other than Prince. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's...
only Prince is Prince. Are you kidding me? He might be the best artist like ever. One of the best artists ever. Not the
Yeah,
best.
I mean, like, I'm trying to think of people who've... I mean, and I don't dislike The Weeknd. I'm just saying, like, I just don't think that comparison makes any sense.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's just
Like,
Yeah,
bad.
Like, I'm
I
trying to
don't
think
care
of-
how the kids think. They might say you're old. I'm an old man. I don't
Fine,
care.
whatever.
I'll be old. I'll
you know
also
what?
be right.
You know what? I'm old enough to remember how awesome Prince was. That's how old I am.
Right. You can bring up Stevie and talk about Prince, but you need to keep The Weeknd. You feel me? Like y'all
Like-
can have that conversation.
The closest, I'm trying to think, like D'Angelo, I remember used to get some of those comparisons.
D'Angelo. Oh man.
And I really like D'Angelo, but first of all, you got to be more prolific than him if you're going to get the Prince comparison. Like,
I get it. But D'Angelo also has my favorite album of all time.
Which one?
Voodoo.
Voodoo's awesome.
My
Voodoo's
favorite. I
fantastic.
mean, I remember playing Resident Evil 2 in like 99. You know what I'm saying? Listening to Voodoo. At all times, I was playing that CD. It was so good.
I've always found him super fascinating. Like, Brian and I actually, for like 2 or 3 years, where we were mailing a publicist of his, and it took us a while just to track down who this person was, trying to get him on our ESPN podcast. And I mean, we barely would get these emails even returned.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He's had such this weird career, where
D'Angelo's publicists return
Every
emails
album
about as
is like-
frequently as he actually makes albums. It's basically the same thing.
I mean, Brown Sugar comes out, and then I think it's, 4 or 5 years Sugar.
Like the most recent album comes out like 10 years later.
And it seemed like he dropped off the planet. And I know he had some substance abuse issues and he had other stuff. But sort of what was going on with him and just kind of dropped off. And then knowing that he became so uncomfortable with the whole sex symbol thing.
Which
Yeah.
I understand. I see
And
that.
really,
You struggle with that yourself?
That was not a laugh
But,
line. That was not a laugh line.
I'm sorry.
But like,
My bad.
He's among the few that I ever thought of. Like, well, I didn't think he'd ever be as great as Prince. I mean, like for me, like nobody can touch Prince.
Yeah.
But like somebody that would at least maybe find some type of Prince route, just because he was clearly so talented and he played a lot of the stuff himself.
But his music is so timeless and so good that people like Beyonce, Stan D'Angelo, were like, your favorite artist. He's your favorite artist, literally. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I still listen to Voodoo, and I feel it. Those certain albums or songs or even movies, listen to it, and you smell the smells you smell. That from back in, like like
the sense memory.
Right, yeah, I'm smelling Curve, cologne when I'm or Polo, when I'm listening to D'Angelo. That's the type of music he makes where it's you're sucked into like a black hole, and you come out in 96 or 98 the album drop. You know what I mean? So that's how great his music is, and it's still just as good. I mean, he didn't change the style much in that 10 years. And the album slapped just as good with the most recent one. So
yeah, Black Messiah.
And what's
that's really good.
Go ahead.
No.
No, I was just going to say. I'm not going to pretend. I'm willing to bet both of you guys are have a deeper R&B knowledge than I do. I'm a good, but I'm like not an expert. Mm-hmm. But like, he is a bridge to what I consider to be really good R&B, because what I think is considered R&B now, again, not to sound like an old man, I think is generally crap.
That's the thing, though. Radio R&B is garbage.
Yes.
When you dive into R&B, there are some they just don't get the type of love.
There are some dudes out there.
That
no question.
Like these more yes, but
the thing actually,
I
want to mention this about
music
Prince,
though. Also, just like I think just so much of the industry has changed now. Mm-hmm. Like the ability to create the type of career that Prince had. Like, forget the talent that's required and the creativity and the prodigy and all that. Like the actual ability to try to what he did possible now, the way the industry works. Like you don't get that type of space to create full albums the way that you do, and like really to focus on the album and the way stuff gets consumed now. Like it would be, with all acknowledgement of just how untouchable Prince is, anybody looking to touch him at this point, anybody looking to touch career advantage, I think just the way the industry works now.
There's too much analytics involved in the creation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you want it at a particular speed. You know what I mean? You want the hook to be a particular sound or a particular place. Like, Prince did what he wanted. He was a true creator, true artist, and he was allowed that space. Now there's so much analytics where we need this type of song on the album, we need that type of song on the album. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, since the 90s, like the people's like greatest hits, like Jay-Z's greatest hits are not my favorite Jay-Z songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, the album cuts are way better, but all this, all the analytics and stuff are placed into these particular songs that are supposed to be the ones that people connect with, and it's just too much of that. I think there's not enough creation and it's not enough music. There's not focused on the music. You're focused on the process and how people, the science of people's, brains and stuff now. It's crazy.
The thing that, Andy, you tweeted this out a few days ago, like that Bomani Jones noted, few people know more about Prince than Bomani. I didn't know this.
Most things, because Bomani's genius.
That's true. He sat on I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man for 7 years before putting that out? Like, he had so much good music.
It could have been on Dirty Mind, which was in 1980, and instead it came out on Sign of the Times, which is 1987. And he recrafted it a bunch of times. Like, it sounds, the version of it that actually would have been on Dirty Mind is really good, but the version that he came up with on Sign of the Times is like a masterpiece. he clearly kept working on it. But like Bomani said, like, you have to have serious confidence in your catalog to say, you know what, this can wait.
Right.
I'm going to be all right. Like, I
Mad shit can wait. You know what I mean?
Like, this unbelievably great song, I'm going to keep it in my hip pocket just in case I need it.
I can picture the rest of the band going like, "You sure you don't want to put that out?" He's like, "No, man, I got this whole 1999 thing ready to go. We're good. I got some stuff. We're okay."
Well, here's for Dirty Mind, when it comes to like creating the album, like consulting the band was Prince.
Right.
So basically, Prince had to clear this with Prince, and Prince gave him the high sign, and that was the end of it.
Did he play all the instruments?
On Dirty Mind, I'm pretty sure he did.
It was Prince.
Pretty just about everything.
The guy who rented the studio time, the guy who got him his underwear. That was basically it.
Yeah.
I got a briefs guy.
You know, it's weird. Like, I've talked about this before with Brian and people, but like, we're going now on almost 6 months exactly since Kobe's death, and like beyond just the sadness of it all, and like, you know, the tragedy of it, it still feels weird to me that Kobe's gone. Like it's weird, it's strange, and I haven't felt that way about somebody's death, like somebody famous like that, since Prince.
Yeah.
Like, I still think it's weird that Prince is dead.
I think maybe because I'm a little younger, so maybe Prince dying obviously affected me. But, you know, I didn't, you know, my formidable years, Prince wasn't the man at that point. You know, I know Prince because I was cleaning the kitchen and cleaning the house. My mom was playing Prince. You know what I mean? There's a family thing on Saturdays. We came out playing Prince. But like, for me, I remember when Kobe was a kid. I remember when he got drafted with Jermaine O'Neal. There were the two high school kids that were coming in the league, I think, at the same time. You know what I mean? I remember, you know, I saw Kobe's entire career.
Yeah.
I saw him persevere in situations like, I'll tell you this, like, I wasn't a Kobe fan. I rooted against Kobe. You know what I mean? But I didn't, like, it's kind of like the Warriors were as a team, like, as far as basketball. But I'm going to watch which is great basketball. There's no way in hell I'm missing a Kobe game when it's on television. That's Kobe Bryant. I remember when Kobe towards the Achilles in the next year, I think ESPN put out something saying that Kobe was like the 36th most like best player in the league. The rank. And somebody that wasn't a Kobe fan. I went on a rant. Disrespect. That's Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? And to me, just like for me, I've come to the realization that Kobe Bryant's death will never be something that is real to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, out of all people, you know, I just, you know what I mean? Unblemished somehow imagine, you know, saving himself and Gigi, but I mean, that's for me, that was one of, like, Nipsey hit me too.
Yeah.
Nipsey, that's one that hit me too, yeah.
It was a slightly awkward time to have to cut you off, but we do because the show's shut itself down. It shuts off in 27 seconds. LaJethro Jenkins,
this was fun, man.
Podcast. This is so much fun. Apologies for the technical problems at the top. We would love to have you back another time.
No problem.
Tomorrow night, Trayvon
I'm down.
Edwards.
Y'all great.
Oh, great. That'd be awesome. Trayvon Edwards tomorrow, all about NBA bubble. It's going to be really fun. Trayvon Edwards tomorrow night,
yes.
bsliquor.com. See everyone tomorrow. Thanks, LaJethro.